Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to sublimate some special tumblers. Have you seen these fun shoe tumblers around? They take a little extra preparation and a few special items to get the full look, but I'll walk you through the steps, including how to make your lacing look authentic. Let's get started. Now, these fun designs start with the popular straight-sided sublimation tumblers I use for a lot of my projects. These are white and have a polymer coating, so the transparent sublimation ink will work perfectly with them. Now, usually we just decorate the surface with our ink, but we're going to add some dimension this time. I found these shoe hooks online that really lace up both the sneaker and the ballet slipper. My free designs include helpful reference points for putting the grommets in the right spots, so don't worry. I'll show you how to use some painter's tape, a towel, and E6000 glue to get them just right. Now remember, this is a sublimation project, so you should have good ventilation going, like an open window or a fan. Keep it going when you work with the glue too, because it has an odor that you'll want to dissipate as it's setting for a few hours. I'm going to use disposable gloves to keep that glue off my hands. I want you to as well, plus some butcher paper to protect my work area. This stuff is sticky, but it dries clear and can handle the tension of tying the laces when you're done. But before we do all of that, of course, we need to get the designs on the tumblers. Ballet slipper and shoe. They look kind of funny, but they totally work. Now I'll use my handy loop measuring tape to confirm the dimensions on the tumblers, and then we'll use Google Docs to prepare the PNG files. If you have a free Google account, like a Gmail email address, you already have access to all of the free tools that I'll demonstrate in this video. I'll print the designs using my Epson Eco Tank that I converted for sublimation using compatible ink and paper from Asub. Now, if you're new to sublimation and you want to go deeper into some of the basics before you start this tutorial, check out my Sublimation for Beginners guide at jennifermaker.com/sublimation for beginners. It's a great way to get started confidently. All right, and then we'll cover how to trim your design for the best transfer and least noticeable seam on the back of the shoe. I like to use a paper trimmer, but you can also use scissors, of course. Getting the seam right is really important, so I have tips on wrapping the design on the tumbler and securing it with heat-resistant tape that will help. I also recommend using heat shrink wraps and a heat gun to really keep your design in place. Now, my tumblers came with wraps, but if you're using a different kind, you can also buy the wraps separately. Now, there are different ways to sublimate tumblers, but in this video, I'm going to use my convection oven, which I use only for sublimation. Once you use a tool for sublimation, like your oven, you want it to stay in your craft area, not the kitchen, because extra sublimation ink can settle inside the oven and then get onto your food, so it's no longer food safe. And remember, this is going to get hot, so you're going to want to have your heat-resistant gloves ready for whenever you use your heat gun. Go near the oven or move the tumbler while it's still hot. Plus, a safe spot for it to cool afterwards. I just use my pressing mat, which works really well for me. Once we've added the hooks, I'll show you my favorite laces for the sneakers and some helpful tips for getting the pretty ribbon on the ballet slipper. We'll actually use some fray stop liquid and a few adhesive hook and loop dots to lace them up. Now, this is a lot of stuff. And as always, I have the full shopping list with exactly what I used on my site over at jennifermaker.com/605. There's also a written tutorial with pictures there if you want to follow along that way. And if you want to learn how to customize these and other designs like this, like how I added names or patches to the shoes, stay tuned all the way to the last step for more details. So, are you ready to sublimate shoe tumblers and make them three-dimensional? Let me show you where to get the free files, and then we'll begin. Step 1, get my free shoe tumbler designs. I've created a few shoe designs that you can make into tumblers with me. These are great to practice on and learn the technique too. To get them, first download my designs at jennifermaker.com/605. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 605, and click the link to download the designs. Sublimation printing requires high-quality design files for the best results, so I'm using PNG files. We'll prepare them in Google Docs, which is free software. There are 2 designs in the PNG folder, a red lace-up sneaker and a ballet slipper. Yeah, they look a little strange flat, but they will look correct on the tumblers, I promise. I'm going to prepare the sneaker design in Google Docs, but the process is the same for the ballet slipper. Now, if you're not sure how to download and use zip files, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how. The process is similar for PNGs. Step 2. Prepare your shoe tumbler wrap design. To create the 3D shoe look, we need to size and position a flat printed paper around a curved tumbler. So the width of the design will be the measurement around the cup, or its circumference. It's important to get this measurement correct, so instead of struggling with a normal tape measure, I use this loop kind. Just feed the small edge through the window like a belt, then put it around the tumbler. Carefully pull the edges away from each other, keeping it straight, and make it tight. The number at the arrows is your circumference. Then take the tape off, undo the loop, and use it to measure the height. Keep it straight and don't include any area without the sublimation coating, like a metal lip. Mine is 8 inches tall and 9.3 inches around, so my design area is 9.3 inches wide and 8 inches tall. But a little buffer will help here, so I like to add 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch to the height measurement and 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch to the width to allow for a slight overlap at the seam. For the 20-ounce straight tumbler from my materials list, I will make the design 9.45 inches wide and 8.25 inches tall. There are lots of ways to print your design, but my favorite tool is Google Docs. Yes, really, the free online document editor. Go to Google Docs in the Google Chrome web browser on your computer. You can also download and open the Google Docs app on a phone or tablet, but be aware that you won't be able to install or access any printer profiles from a mobile device. If you don't have a Google account, they're free and easy to get. Just visit jennifermaker.com/Google Docs for help setting one up. To begin, click on Blank to open a new document. In the top File menu, select Page Setup. Change the orientation to landscape to better fit the wrap's proportions, and change your margins to 0 by clicking in each box and typing 0. Make sure the paper size matches your sublimation paper size too. I'll use 8.5 by 11 inch paper or letter size paper, and then click OK. Now click on the Insert menu at the top and select Image, then select Upload from Computer. Locate the tumbler wrap PNG, then click Open, and the image will appear. The design might come in a different size, so let's adjust it. Right-click on the image, select Image Options, then Size and Rotation, and change the size in the fields. Remember, mine will be 9.45 inches wide to add room for the seam overlap and about 8.21 inches tall. Click the image and select the Wrap text icon from the menu that appears below it. This lets you move the design anywhere on the page. I like to center it so trimming the extra paper is easier later. Once you're happy with the design, give it a name by clicking where you see Untitled in the top left field. Another great thing about Google Docs is the auto-saving feature. You won't lose your work when you're using Google Docs. Now, printer settings vary, but the main things we have to watch for are paper type and print quality. I have directions for common sublimation printers at jennifermaker.com/sublimation print method, but I'll show you the process for my Epson. First, go to the File menu and choose Print. Select your printer under Destination. Then click the arrow beside More Settings and click Print using System dialog. Your settings may look different than mine, but you can use mine as a general reference. Make sure your sublimation printer is selected under Printer. Then, under Layout, click Flip horizontally to mirror your image. Most sublimation projects need to be mirrored, so remember that step. Choose the print settings or media quality area and change your media type to an option similar to photo matte paper and your print quality to best quality. But be careful, don't use high speed or the result will not be perfect. You also want to avoid anything like draft, print setting, or anything like that. Also, make sure your paper is loaded correctly. Check your printer manual and paper packaging for help identifying the right side to print on and how to load it. And then finally, click Print back on your computer. Now allow the print to dry before handling it, as the ink can smear when it's wet. Also, you need to know that the printed design will appear lighter and duller before you press it, so don't worry. Step 3, sublimate your shoe tumbler. Remember, always open a window or turn on a fan before sublimating to help improve your ventilation. Use a lint-free cloth or coffee filter with some rubbing alcohol to clean the tumbler for a better transfer. And remember, I mentioned that we need to trim some of the extra paper away carefully. You can do this with scissors, but I find one of the trimmers, like the Cricut portable trimmer, easier and it creates nice straight cuts. So first pull out the trimmer's guide extension at the top and place the printed image face up so the upper edge of the paper is along the vertical cutting line. Press the paper up against that top guide to make sure the cut will be straight. Hold the paper in place and lower the fold-down ruler with the blade onto your material. Now you can press down on the ruler to keep the material in position, just don't get too close to the blade. Use your other hand to press down on the blade and draw it down in a straight line with a smooth motion. Then lift the ruler and rotate the paper 180 degrees so the bottom section is ready to cut. Line it up the same way and repeat the cut. Now decide which hand you'll use to apply the tape on the seam and trim all the white away on that edge. Leave about 1/4 inch white next to the final edge, which you'll use to pull the wrap tight later. Now grab your heat-resistant tape and cut a few pieces that you could easily pick up. Place your tumbler on your work surface with the open edge at the top. Make sure the print is correctly oriented. You don't want to do anything upside down, so always check. And wrap it around the cup so the ink touches the surface. Now where the edges overlap, make sure you put the side with the white edge showing on the outside of your layers. So wrap it like this. Now hold the wrapped print in place and gently tap the tumbler on the table from the bottom and top. That will help straighten out the design and the seam. Our next goal is to secure the print to the tumbler as tightly as possible. If there are gaps between the surface and design, you might get white spots or other defects in the final result. And using tumbler pinchers can help hold everything in place if you have them. And don't let the print shift and gently lay the tumbler on its side with the seam up. Place a piece of heat-resistant tape horizontally on the white edge, but don't let it touch the paper on the other side of the seam quite yet. Use one hand to hold the lower layer of the design tight against the tumbler. Now pull the loose section of tape as tight as possible, then press it in place on the lower layer. Add 2 more pieces of tape using the same method in between the first piece and the top and bottom edges of the design. Add more tape perpendicularly to bridge the 3 pieces and completely cover the seam in between them. To check if the paper is tight enough, try to press hard on either edge of the paper and smooth them toward the tape seam. If anything ripples or comes away from the tumbler, remove your tape and try again. Once the paper is secure, add tape to cover the top remainder of the seam, allowing some to extend past the edge. With your thumb on the adhered section, pull the extra tape as hard as you can over the edge and secure it inside the tumbler. Repeat for the bottom seam portion, securing the paper to the underside as well. Use a scraper or your fingernail to burnish the seam thoroughly. It's important to work out all of the air pockets to get a perfect transfer. Now place the tumbler open end up and look down at it from the top. Think of it like a compass and place the original seam in the north direction. Just like we did for the top of the seam, place tape at the south location, letting it extend past the edge. Keep your thumb on the taped paper and pull the extra tape tightly, securing it to the tumbler's inner surface. Smooth the tape with a scraper to remove any air pockets, and then repeat for the east and west points. Then fill in the intermediary directions like northeast until the entire top rim is secured. And then you can repeat for the bottom edge. On the bottom, use an extra long piece of tape to mark where the seam is, which you can reference when you need to turn the tumbler in your convection oven later. I like to use a shrink tube to really keep the design in place. My tumblers came with the correct tubes, but if you order them separately, be sure they're the right size to easily fit your tumbler's width. So to use them, open up a shrink wrap tube and pull it over your tumbler. Put on your heat-resistant gloves and set a heat-safe item like a pressing pad nearby. Use your heat gun on a low setting to slowly heat the wrap so it conforms to the tumbler. Make sure most of the wrinkles are smooth, but don't make it too tight or it will pull apart in the oven. Your tumbler will be warm, so set it on the pressing pad when you're done. Place a silicone baking mat onto the Sublimation Convection oven's wire tray to keep the tumbler from rolling later on. And then when I check my Sublimation cookbook for tumblers, it says to preheat my convection oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Put an oven thermometer right in the center to make sure the temperature is correct, and then set the temperature. When the convection oven is at the right temperature, put on your heat-resistant gloves and place the tumbler on its side on the baking mat. Start with a long piece of tape at the top so you can keep track of it. Now heat the prepared tumbler in the oven for 6 minutes, giving it a quarter turn every minute and a half to even out the heat. Remember, you can keep an eye on the long tape to make sure you're turning it correctly. When the time is up, keep your heat-safe gloves on and remove the tumbler from the oven, placing it on a heat-safe surface to let it cool for a few minutes. Now remove the wrap, the tape, and design while the tumbler is still slightly warm. And there's the design on the tumbler. Now, of course, it still needs some details, so let's do those next. Step 4. Assemble your shoe tumbler. Option number 1, lace-up shoe. Before working with strong adhesives like E6000, be sure to open a window and turn on a fan to improve your ventilation. Now cover your work surface with butcher paper to protect it from the glue and place a folded towel on your work surface too. Place the cooled cup with the lacing holes face up on the towel so it won't roll. The glue will dry clear, but we don't want it to get everywhere, so we're going to use painter's tape to protect some sections. Add a piece along the tumbler's length, just barely to the inside of one lacing hole rows. Add another piece of tape just inside the other row of lacing holes. If there is any uncovered tumbler between the pieces, use more tape to cover it completely and protect it. This tape will keep the E6000 from spreading into the tongue area. Add another long piece of tape to the outside of a line facing holes so the stitching lines are just barely covered. The lacing eyelets I'm using have a base and an attachment with a small D-ring. The set comes with rivets, but we won't use them today. The width between the tape pieces near lacing holes should be the same width as the base. Now add a final piece of painter's tape to cover the stitching on the other side too. The flat metal bases can slide on the tumbler as the E6000 sets, so rotate the tumbler on the towel to have a line of lacing holes face up at the center. Put on your disposable gloves to protect your skin from the glue and apply some glue to the bottom of an eyelet base. The glue dries clear and will be hidden by laces, so add enough to cover the back, which will help adhere the flat metal to the curved tumbler. Press the base with the glue in place over the first lacing hole so that the D-ring sits on top of the outer protective tape. Make sure the D-ring is on the outside of the design like this, and then it can move freely. Tap the base in different spots to help it bond to the tumbler. The flat bases won't perfectly match the tumbler's curved surface, but as long as the glue touches both surfaces, under most of the metal, it will stay secure. Add the other 5 eyelets to the lacing holes on this side. Now, the E6000 glue takes about 5 minutes to set enough that the bases won't slide if you move the tumbler. So don't jostle the other pieces while you're adding new pieces. Once the eyelets have set enough that they don't slide, carefully rotate the tumbler so the other line of lacing holes is at the center facing up. Repeat the process to glue the remaining eyelets in place. Let the tumbler sit for about 15 minutes so the bases are more secure. Before the glue dries, gently remove the painter's tape without bumping the eyelets around. If any gets jostled, just nudge them back into place. Now, the full curing time for E6000 is 24 to 48 hours, but it will be set enough after a few hours to add the laces. I used a 48-inch long flat lace because it shaped the tumbler nicely and left plenty of length for tying a bow. You could experiment with different lacing styles, so get creative. Ballet slipper. The ballet slipper has 5 spots that need eyelets, 2 on both sides of the front and 1 on the back. Each is noted by a small rectangle of the slipper color. Now protect your work surface with butcher paper and place a folded thick towel on the paper. Put the cooled tumbler on a towel with one side of the slipper's front centered. With your protective gloves on, add glue to the back of an eyelet base. Then place it on the tumbler so the D-rings tube lines up with a small rectangle of slipper color. The ring should sit on the slipper side. The laces will cover the eyelets, so it's okay that they seem very visible right now. Let the first eyelet sit for a few minutes, then adhere the second eyelet to the lower rectangle on the same slipper edge. Let the eyelets sit for 15 minutes so the E6000 will keep them from sliding. Then gently rotate the tumbler so the other edge of the slipper's front is centered. Glue the third and fourth eyelets in the correct spots, making sure the eyelets are at the same angles as the ones across the design. Let the glue set for another 15 minutes. We want them to be pretty secure before working on the back. Then rotate the tumbler to show the back and glue the last eyelet in the middle of the seam at the top so the D-ring hinges left to right, not up to down. Let the tumbler sit for another 15 minutes, then set it upright and allow the glue to dry for a minimum of 2 hours. Now cut 2 lengths of ribbon about 30 inches each. I use 7/8-inch ribbon, which fit through the eyelets really nicely. Fold the corners of one end in and slightly overlap them to make a triangle. Take one side of a hook and loop dot off its backer and secure it overlapping the folded ribbon seam. The dot facing up, slide the triangle through the bottom eyelet from the outside in toward the design's open section. If your hook and loop dots are thicker, it may be easier to place the closure after feeding the ribbon through the eyelet. Fold the triangle back over the D-ring to see where the other side of the hook and loop set should go on the plain ribbon. And adjust the ribbon's angle before picking the spot for the second dot. Place the other side of the hook and loop dot where it will meet the first piece and hold the ribbon at the correct angle. Then fold the triangle end back so the closure pieces meet. Prepare and add the second ribbon to the other bottom eyelet the same way. Now lace up the eyelets in front by crossing the ribbons from one side to the other. Cross the ribbons again at the top and bring them to the back. Feed the ribbons through the back eyelet one at a time so the D-ring doesn't twist them. Bring the ribbons back to the front and tie them in a bow. Then trim the ends of the ribbon to your preferred length. I like to cut them at an angle and use just a little stop fraying glue to keep them neat. Just coat the cut edge and let it dry. Step 5, show it off. Let your tumbler sit for 48 hours to make sure the glue is totally set, and then it's ready to be used or given as a gift and enjoyed for years to come. Step 6, customize it. Want to make your own sublimation shoe tumbler with different colors or details or ones that match your team's colors or your school's colors or whatever you want? Or do you want to learn how I size details to fit designs like this? You can learn how to do that and more in a special program called Advance with Jennifer Maker. As part of the program, you'll get access to 5 more ballet slipper colors and 6 more sneaker colors too. Plus, I have a special tutorial on how you can customize these and other designs in Google Docs. You can create your own custom sneaker tumbler design by mixing and matching colors and patch styles. I've included sunflowers and flowers, but you can use other icons too, of course. I'll also show you how to add a name in Google Drawings, another one of my favorite free tools. And once you learn how to use these tools for the tumblers, you can apply the skills to other projects, so the creativity doesn't stop there. All that and more is available in Advance, a program that helps you advance your crafting skills by teaching you how to design and customize. You can truly make these popular designs your own through my tutorials and templates in the program. You'll also gain access to my vast library of designs, projects, resources, and templates. Now, I may or may not be accepting new members into the Advanced program at the time you see this, but if you're interested, go to jennifermaker.com/advance to learn more. And there you have them, 3D interactive tumblers. Now, the E6000 glue is super strong, so it will keep your laces in their right spots, even when you're adjusting them. You will have to do that when you clean the tumblers, of course, because you don't want to get the laces or the ribbons wet. When it is time to clean your sneaker tumbler, just unlace it like a regular shoe. For the ballet slippers, undo the bow and pull the ribbons out of the hooks. Then undo the hook and loop closure at the bottoms. I recommend hand washing these tumblers so you can make sure the areas around the hooks are really clean. Remember, don't use an abrasive sponge on the outside because any scratches in the tumbler surface will damage the design. And then once the tumbler is dry, you can just lace it back up. Now, if you want to learn how to add custom elements or text to your tumblers in Google Docs, like I did for these cups, I can totally show you how to do that in my advanced program. Just go to jennifermaker.com/advance for more information. And if you love this project as much as I did and want to learn more about sublimation, come check out my Sublimation Startup mini course at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I'll walk you through all the basics from setting up a sublimation printer with the right ink to which tools are helpful for beginners. I also show you how to use free software to print designs and share all my tips on getting the best results with each press. Not to mention, I've got tons of ideas and designs for projects that you can sublimate. You can sign up right now and learn at your own pace without any pressure. It's at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I also have an awesome book with all the times, temperatures, and pressures, all the things that we could possibly think of for sublimation, and it's called the Sublimation Cookbook, and you'll find that at sublimationcookbook.com. And one more thing, a Facebook group just for sublimation. It's a great way to see all the fun you can have with it and the cool things that you can make. Whether you're new to sublimation or not, come join us at jennifermaker.com/sublimation group. I'd love to have you come ask questions, share ideas, and get inspired. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.